Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you here today to another exhibition race under the Dev tier as we prepare to get several drivers properly evaluate to see where they're going to fall in the X1, X2, X3 tiers for Extreme Racing Leagues. I'm your host for today's broadcast, St. Larry 13, as we're preparing to get underway at the newest addition to the Formula One calendar, the Circuit Miami, known for its absolutely fake as everything water that's actually faker than the currency's actual value. Known for having excessively tight corners so tight that even in 1970s era's Formula One cars, it would be hard to get around them. And also known for being exceptionally early in the season, the only American race that takes place in the first quarter of the season, rather than, mid or middle of the season like Montreal, or the latter part of the season like at Coda or Mexico. As we're preparing to get onto the circuit now, 12 drivers will be making up today's first round qualifying. This means that everyone won't have to worry about this first round. Everyone's going to advance without issues. The first round on this game that was done for XRL was actually an exhibition race here, but it was on a mode with no damage. Quality of the racing was a little bit lower than what we were anticipating. However, it still showed us an idea of what this track can provide. This circuit has three DRS zones, but most importantly, there is a significant ability to make your way up through the field here. If you have a decent amount of downforce and you can navigate a good run through the S's in Sector 1, you'll have a great shot at potentially hitting the DRS and counteracting the higher downforce loadout to be able to get a good run going into Sector 3. First drivers out onto the track are Robbie DZ, SRD Shredder, and Samuel Pedia. They're the ones who are all trying to audition into higher higher racing tiers right now. These three are the first ones to get out onto the circuit. Leading the crew in the Williams today is SRD Shredder. Shredder came home and took a very unexpected win in his first race in 2 years with XRL at Austria. Granted, it was aided a lot by the leaders wrecking themselves out twice in front of him. And then he was the only person to actually have a respectable car under him by the end of the day. Ran a high downforce setup in very wet conditions as we're preparing to get underway here at Miami. That comes into the fact that rain may be an issue once more. There is a possibility of rain in today's race. We're finally starting to see one of the Ferraris making their way down pit lane. We're coming out into the circuit shortly. For drivers like Shredder, DZ, and Samuels will be a little bit frustrating here. We're going to go ahead and ride silently on board for a lap with Robbie DZ in the AlphaTauri so we get an idea what a flying lap is like here around the Miami GP circuit. And Robbie Deasy puts his AlphaTauri on the top with the 129.409, but in the interim, Sasha Andre got out onto the circuit, then had an accident, kept going, and then had another accident at the slowest part of the track that seems to have taken him out. We're going to try and reach out to Sasha and hear what happened from his perspective here. Oh, okay. So Sasha will not advance to the next round of qualifying. Rimsko, Shikari, and several other drivers already out on track. Coming to the party right now is Sasha Andre. Sasha, go ahead, include your audio. You didn't even get to finish your outlap, and 2 accidents take you out. What happened both times?
Yeah, so the first one, it was a steering wheel issue because I haven't calibrated my pedals, so I couldn't brake. So I went straight into the wall, and then I lost on my front wing, and I touched the wall on the inside, and my tire went off.
Alright, very bad damage. Have you gotten the wheel issue fixed, and do you think you have a car under you that can make it to the end of the race today?
Yeah, now I got it fixed. I should have checked it before I went out, but I forgot.
Alright, it's a shame to see you out qualifying this early, mate. Hopefully the race goes better for you.
Yeah, hopefully.
Alright, well that's the word from Sasha Andre, one of the most successful drivers in XRL. Starting from the back is going to be very interesting. Kind of a defensive race for a lot of the drivers who will be running some of their first few runs here. So Rim has set a time, 129.740. So of the 6 drivers who have set their times thus far, they are all within the 129s. Herbago and Zola both in the middle of laps right now. Herbago finally crosses lines, puts down 129.536. It's the 5th best time we've seen thus far today. Torpedo and Adam KH158 are also out on the circuit at the moment, working on outlaps. Fine Waldo is also left pit lane, and he's in the middle of an outlaps. Imperium SG, who is still in pit lane, has not yet made an attempt to get out there and get a proper flying lap together. Yellow flag in the final sector. That would be the Alpine of Samuelpedia bringing his car into the pits for the moment. Thus far, though, the fastest time at the top is MBD Toxic 99.33, as he retires in pit lane, feeling very confident with his time thus far. And it looks like Robbie Deasy in pit's going to do the same thing. Again, you don't have to push hard here. You can go out there, set a single lap, and be satisfied. And with the threat of rain in the race itself, you might want to go ahead and, just hurry through and not take the risk of having a worse starting position by killing and ruining your car here. Fine Torpedo and Adam have both crossed the line to begin their flyers. Waldo is still circling the track because he's just entered the back straightaway in that Alfa Romeo. You can barely see it in the background there. Zola come into the last 2 corners now. $129.5 for Zola. At this point, the fastest of all the XRL veterans is XRL Shikari. He is 3rd fastest with a 29.420. Smoke weed every day. As we see Torpedo as he now navigates through the tightest, slowest section on the circuit. Pretty much every one of these corners gets slower and slower, and Torpedo has had a spin out of turn 1. He'll be able to continue, but that's definitely not ideal for him. $211 miles an hour at the end of that back straightaway, which is directly comparable to the top speeds that we would see at a circuit like Baku. And all of that is just sheer acceleration coupled with DRS as well. Torpedo goes up to third fastest with a 29.25 Adam has moved up to second with a 29.139 in his Red Bull machine. Shredder is going back out on another lap. Rim is retiring in the pits. Fine Waldo, we're still waiting to see what this lap's going to be, but we know it's not going to be very practical. Imperium is finally coming out onto the circuit here. You can tell Waldo is really not pushing it that aggressively here. He knows that, yes, he's automatically guaranteed to advance to the next round, but he does not want to have to deal at all with the risk of not letting his true ability being shown. So he's been storing up the ERS, and he'll start laying into it here for another flyer. So with a spin, Waldo set a lap of 140.939, so he'll be looking to take about 11 seconds off of that, if not more. Waldo, a longtime X2 driver, and he spins in the exact, just a little bit farther down the racetrack. So it's not going well for the Alfa Romeo with 2 spins in the 2 laps that he attempts to set. Shredder has gone by him, and he's on the way to try and improve on his lap. Imperium has crossed the line to begin his flyer. Shredder is actually down on time at the moment. XRL Torpedo now retiring in the pits after he is confident with that third fastest time he has set. Shredder still down by about 1/8 of a second at the moment. Zola now retires in the pits. Imperium still trying to get a lap in here. Fine Waldo saving up for another run at it here, as Imperium makes his way through the slowest corners. Very slow Mickey Mouse section here. Even with the 1960s era Formula 1 car, it'd be a very awkward and janky sector. Waldo's going for another shot at it. Here comes Imperium to the line. He will finally set a lap time, not a very competitive one, 32.508. So he's definitely going to be wanting to gain something. Waldo is wanting to improve by about 11 seconds, if not more here. Time right now from the top 10, all within 9/10 of each other. Imperium and Waldo are the only outsiders in that scenario. Waldo very low on fuel. It's going to be iffy if he'll be able to properly complete this lap and an in lap as well, but he is going to get a lap in. 206 miles an hour at the end of the straight. Massive lockup on all 4 tires, and that kind of killed his entry into the corner. Not really much of a flow here. No real practical zones through this section, but he's out without hitting anything. Now opens up down the straight. He's up by 11.2 seconds. That is about the amount up that he needs to be if he wants to be amongst the top 10. He'll turn into a top 11 in that scenario. Shredder in the Williams is coming back out on circuit now. So he's going for another shot at improvement. Again, Waldo locking up all tires. And Waldo could have put together a time in the 129s easily, but he retires into the pits, and Imperium also going to do the same. So it is just Shredder who is out on circuit. Red Bull of Adam KH now coming back out onto the circuit as well. Shredder up, not by very much, but he is up by 300ths at the moment. And he is going to close in on Adam down the straight. He's actually probably getting a small draft off of him right now. Adam kindly pulls off circuit and lets Shredder scoot past. I don't know how that wasn't a track invalidation, but okay. Shredder's up by a little bit more. Not quite a tenth, but he's finding small inklings of time around the track. And he crosses, he's up, but only by 300ths in the end. So all the time he gained in Sector 2, he lost in Sector 3. 129.904 is all he can do. Adam KH in the Red Bull now trying to improve as well. Rumor is that the drivers on the top of the pylon, Toxic, Adam, DZ, they have dry setups on, while a lot of the drivers lower down the grid have wet setups on in anticipation that the race itself will be wet. Now, if it stays wet the entire time, that will be the big question. Adam down by 3/10, so this lap is absolutely not coming together for him, at least not in Sector 1. Unless he has something absolutely massive to pull off here in the Mickey Mouse sector at the end of Sector 2. Mind you, this is only the first round of qualifying. 12 drivers will advance from, out of the 13 that started, 12 of them will go from Q1 to Q2 as Sasha Andre crashes out and will not be allowed to advance. So 12 drivers will be fighting over 10 spots. Imperium, it's not looking good for him. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think it's looking very good for Shredder either, because Waldo did not get a proper flyer lap in, but the lap he had set up was going to be in the low 129s. And Adam brains the car down to pit lane, so this is it. The first round of qualifying will come to an end. So with that in mind, our first round of qualifying comes to an end, and we'll prepare for the second round here shortly. I don't feel very good for Shredder's chances. He went out there no fewer than 3 times on 3 different sets of tires, so there is a high likelihood that he will not have enough fast sets of tires to advance out of the second round of qualifying. I think Shredder and Fine Waldo are Shredder and Imperium are the drivers most likely to get squeezed out. But at the top, it is MBD Toxic 9933. With a more than 1/10 advantage over Adam KH, and the highest XRL veteran is XRL Torpedo third with a 29.257 as we prepare to get underway for our next round. If you want to go ahead and join Extreme Racing Leagues for yourself, the opportunity is always there. Go ahead and reach out to Xbox username XRL Zola or XL Shikari. You'll see their names crop up very shortly here. When you reach out to those drivers, they will go ahead and try to get you into their proper Discord server, and we'll give you a quick rundown of the rules before letting you partake in one of these exhibition races. And Rimxo immediately retires at the start of Q2. So that will loosen up the fight between Shredder and her. Well, that's very strange. I didn't see that coming. Robbie Deasy and Samuel Pedia, again, two of the first drivers out onto the circuit. So about half of the field coming out early on in this session. Again, I'm not really sure what's going on with Rim in the Red Bull to where they decide to retire the car here in Q2 right at the start. We'll try to reach out to him and hear what he has to say. As DZ now begins his flying lap. Toxic, Waldo, Adam all out on track right now. Shredder is out on a lap. Herbago is coming down to begin his fly, but he's had an accident somewhere in Sector 2, and the entire front wing of that McLaren has been completely ripped off. Robbie Deasy will be the first driver to set time. Was briefly on top of the timesheets in the first round of qualifying. Rumor is that Rim says that he wanted to choose to start near the back, so he's emulating a gearbox change penalty, so he will not be advancing. So his 11 drivers fighting for 10 positions. I believe it's going to be primarily between Imperium SG and SRD Shredder to try and advance. Robbie invalidates his lap, so the focus now goes to Samuel Pedia. He will set the time that everyone will be chasing, 129.752. Right after him, though, will be this man here, Adam KH, 158. In the Red Bull, he will set a 128.630. So that's the first driver we've seen get into the 28s thus far. Then Shredder goes ahead, sets a 129.419. Shikari is still on an outlap. Toxic and Waldo are in the middle of their flyers. Toxic going down the back straightaway right now. Fine, Waldo has just entered the back straight as we say that. So Toxic will set a 129.816. So the times definitely picking up in the transition from Q1 to Q2. We already see two drivers in the 128s when no one got out of the 29s in the prior session. Waldo retired into the pit lane, so he aborted his lap. Shikari in the middle of a flyer right now, the only driver on track in the middle of a flyer. Herbago's come back out into the circuit, as has Zola. And now we're seeing Torpedo coming out onto the track. He's joined by Imperium, and Robbie Deasy has come back out as well. Carey opens the throttle up. 103.676 at the end of Sector 2. Pops open the rear wing. And it's a 119 at the end of the straight, so that means when he comes to the line, Sha'Carri is going to set a lap time of 128.9, so he just barely makes it into the 28s. Herbago, keeping the front wing on the car this lap, will be part of what gives him a proper flyer here. 30.367 at the end of Sector 1. After he damaged the car in his first shot, Waldo, Torpedo, and Imperium all making their runs down the back straight right now, preparing their flyers. At the moment, though, it is the Red Bull of Adam KH at the top of the sheets. And that is Sha'Carri, who has had a spin one of the narrowest sections of the track after his flyer. You can see Herbago crosses the line and will set a 128.502. So a veteran of XRL finally goes to the top of the sheets. The McLarens in XRL found something for the X3 drivers, Herbago and Mantic Meerkat. They found something during a test session about 3 weeks ago when they were running at Baku, and at Baku they were setting times of 200, they were hitting top speeds at 212 to 216 down the front straightaway, while everyone else was struggling to get out of, couldn't even get out of the 210s. And while, despite all that extra speed, they weren't losing time in the corners, and that same advantage carried over for them into the following race at Montreal. So Herbago and Mantic Meerkat setting on a significant setup advantage that is giving them amazing pace on tracks with massive straight line speed focus compared to their rivals. And it looks like Herbago is taking that experience and applying it here. And if the track ends up going dry in today's race, I would not, and Herbago survives that long, because we don't know how hard it's going to be for drivers to survive today, we could very easily see Herbago filter his way right to the top and outdistance the rest of the field based on that setup advantage. Now, we know that the setup advantage comes from something in the springs and tire lining, well, springs and tires, but the overall front wing and rear wing setups were 2 and 3 at the end when they were running at Baku, when they were running a similar wing setup at Montreal, when most of the rest of the field were running 10s or 12s. Imperium's invalidated this lap. Fine Waldo, though, is about to conclude his lap, although he does touch the outside wall, and that's not going to help his time there. Waldo, it's not looking great for him. 140.536. He needs to get a proper flyer in, and ideally without spinning the car. And for Waldo, these kind of spins are only going to make it harder for him to get proper laps in. Shredder is out on a lap right now. Torpedo is in the middle of a flyer as well at the moment. Good news for Waldo is they'll have the majority of this lap to go ahead and recharge the ERS. Imperium, it's not looking good. An invalid lap, and he's low on fuel, so he's going to have to pit. So it looks like Shredder has actually moved up into 5th. So it is not him who is struggling, but it is once again a veteran, Fine Waldo, who is struggling. If Waldo can get a proper lap together, it would be Imperium versus Samuelpedia, the two Mercedes drivers who are fighting amongst themselves to get in, because one of those drivers are not looking like they'll be able to advance. Shredder in the middle of another flyer, trying to improve. And he'll bring it into the pits. So it looks like he's content now. I don't know how many sets of tires he's going to have available. We know that everyone who makes it in the final round qualifying gets one free set, but that might be all Shredder has to use. As Waldo once again goes for another lap. Has not been able to get out of the 140s at all due to spins in the first two corners. And that's Samuelpedia coming out on the circuit now. This time Waldo keeps the car in line. Fuel lights flashing though. Waldo needs to commit to this and just struggle the following lap. Now we see Imperium coming out on circuit as well. Waldo needs to improve by 11 seconds exactly. Another massive lockup, so Waldo making all the exact same mistakes in Q2 that he made in Q1. Not what we'd expect from... Oh, and he hits the wall and spins again! Not in the same part of the track, but this is going to kill this lap, and he's low on time, low on fuel, so he's going to have to come right into the pits. With just a bit more than 3 minutes left, he's going to have to come in, fill up real quickly, and he's only going to have one more shot at a flyer here. This has gone horrendously bad for Waldo. Samuel preparing to get another flyer lap in here. Samuel needs to improve by about 2/10 if he wants to get himself out of the potential risky zone. Adam K, Toxic, and Shredder are all out on track, trying to improve their lap times. What can Samuel pull out, and what can Imperium pull out? And Waldo's retiring! So if Imperium can set a lap time, that is in the 130s, he will squeeze Waldo out, and this session is over. So it's just between Imperium and Waldo at this moment now. Smooth exit off of the back straightaway. Well, 5.580 coming out of Sector 2. Again, it doesn't need to be a blistering lap, it just needs to be better than 140.5 for Imperium to make his way to the top 10. His teammate Samuel P has improved up to third, 128.640. $131.424, and Imperium is in to the final round of qualifying. Robbie Deasy has also retired and has not set a lap. So Waldo retires in the pits, but it looks like he may still advance because Robbie has not been able to get a single lap in. He's gone out and attempted a lap earlier, but invalidated. And I saw him come out a second time, but I think he came in right after that lap ended. So I guess Waldo will advance, but just barely. Session is over. Only eight drivers got below into the 129s or faster, and I want to give credit to this man here, MBT Toxic. While we've been focusing on Imperium, Toxic went out there, and he's broken everyone else's backs. He's gotten to the 127s now, to 127.907 in that Alpine. So it's Remixo and Robbie DZ46 that will not advance out of the second round of qualifying here in Miami. So here's your final results. And yes, Waldo, despite not getting a single proper lap in, will advance to the next round as Rim, out due to self-inflicted choices, and then DZ not able to get a single lap in at all under pace. And the gap from first to ninth, 3.5 seconds. Even the gap from first to eighth, 1.6. So drivers at the top, Toxic, Herbago, Adam, and Samuelpedia, have all absolutely opened it up here in the second round qualifying. And it looks like it might be raining here. So drivers quickly rushing out onto the circuit. The first driver out on track will have a significant advantage because the track, while it's not wet yet, is going to get wet very quickly here. And Waldo, who has not been able to put together a proper flying lap at all, is the first one out, followed by Shikari and Shredder. Again, track's dry for the moment, but how long is it going to stay dry? A lot of these drivers, they're driving with the mindset that they're only going to be able to get one proper lap in, and only 5 of our 10 are out on track, so this could really upend the starting grid here. We also don't know how DRS is going to play into it, because if DRS gets shut off in the middle of a flyer, that's also going to have a massive negative effect on the ability to get laps going. So now, everyone with the exception of Torpedo and Imperium out on track, Shredder backing away from Shikari and Waldo. Shikari continues to stay right behind Waldo's rear wing though. So he's willing to take the risk of having his lap compromised by that Alfa Romeo if it means that he will be able to get to the DRS zones faster and potentially use them for a bit longer. And Waldo, who has spun out every single lap he's done thus far, is going to be the first driver out on circuit. Torpedo has had a spin. Shikari is now underway. And we'll see Waldo farther up there as he's going to try and get a lap in as well. And if Waldo spins, there's a risk that it may force Shikari to have to back out and kill his lap. But Waldo is smooth through the first few corners, and Herbago has had a spin as well. Coming out of the final corner, he's had an accident, I should say. Shikari's still underway though. Waldo's kept it together thus far. DRS still enabled. So at the moment, Waldo, you can see farther up there, has the advantage, and this man here, Shikari, I think is likely going to go in the pole position here. Coming out of the final corners, Waldo will cross the line and will set a 128.544, his first proper lap of the day. Shikari goes up second, 129.432. Here comes Shredder, who backed out from those guys. He will set a 129.005, so that puts him into second. And now we see the Mercedes of Samuel go up to third, 129.384. And there's Shikari as he spins now. Herbago on an out lap. Toxic has invalidated his run. That's not going to help him. Adam, Zola coming to the line. They'll be the 5th and 6th drivers to set laps here. Zola 29.9. Adam 128.630. So he's on the front row again. Shredder low on fuel. Waldo low on fuel as well. Samuel could go for another flyer here. The car will be a little bit lighter, and that could give him some significant advantage. Torpedo coming down to the line. He's going to set a 129.241. That's good enough for 4th. And with rain sprinkling on the circuit, the question has just come down to how much longer. And Waldo's had an accident just before coming into pit lane. The question is going to be how much longer is DRS going to be active? Because the moment DRS shuts off, that's it. That's it for this round of qualifying. Samuel aborts into the pits. Waldo retires, so he feels that no one's going to beat his time, and I have to agree with him. Torpedo is going for another flyer by the looks of it. Oh, Toxic's crashed out! And Toxic in the slowest sector of the track has crashed out, and the man who was the fastest in Q2 is out in Q3. So for Imperium and Herbago, their focus is going to be just to get a lap. Oh, and this is going to kill Torpedo's run, because he was right in the racing line. So Torpedo, one lap, that 29.2 is going to be the best he gets for him after being compromised. Herbago and Imperium, the only drivers left who have yet to set times. Herbago's coming to the line. DRS, interestingly enough, still enabled. And because of that, we're actually seeing Samuel Pedia going back out onto the track and taking the risk of tearing up the machine. To the line comes Herbago. 130.091. So the track is definitely getting slower as Imperium now begins his flyer. All right, and coming to the party right now is MBD Toxic. Toxic, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. Fastest man in Q2, but an accident in Q3 keeps you from setting the time. What happened?
Just got on the power too early. Didn't expect it to be so wet.
Alright, well, it looks like you're going to be starting mid-pack in the race, and the race itself is anticipated to have rain as well. Do you have a setup and a strategy that can get you back to the front where you belong in the race?
Yeah, I managed to put a wet setup on in Q1, so hopefully it should work.
Alright, well, it'll be fascinating to see potential redemption from what happened to you last week at Austria. We'll be watching you as you come your way up through the field today, mate.
Thank you.
Imperium, the only driver left to have yet set a time. Somehow, DRS still allowed, despite the fact that the track continues to get wetter and wetter. And it's giving some drivers a thought that they can go out there and go even faster on a second lap. Even though the track is falling away from them, not getting faster here. Shikari coming back on for another attempt as well. Imperium will set a lap time 1:33.172, so that's good enough for 9th. As Herbago comes into pit lane. Zola, not known for his qualifying prowess, better known for his in-race strategy, going out for another shot at it right now. Again, the track's not wet enough to warrant intermediate tires yet, but it is definitely losing grip. Shredder down nearly 2 seconds. And Zola's down by half a second in Sector 1 alone. So yeah, you're not going to go out there and find any more time. The first flying lap you set is the best you're going to get. And for Fine Waldo, who has messed up every single lap except one, he is basically guaranteed a pole position because of that. Herbago now retires into the pits. Imperium's on his cooldown lap, we believe. Zola comes in the pit. Shikari, big slide. And there it is. DRS officially disabled. So yes, you will no longer go any faster for the rest of this session. Shikari just out there sliding his Haas around. But with DRS disenabled now, that will pretty much bring an into Q3. And it is Fine Waldo who's going to be at the top of the sheets. So Shikari, for whatever reason, still staying out on the track. Yeah, and that, my friends, is why you shouldn't be doing that. No grip, and the Haas has completely lost its front end here. Well, Shikari wanted to see if he had a setup that would give him good grip, allowing him to push it on slick tires on a wet track. He now knows that no, the setup will not enable him to do that, as time's up over Plow for qualifying. All right. And there we are. At the top is Waldo. He only set one proper lap this entire day today, but that lap will be enough. 128.544. Adam KH will share the front row with him with a 128.630. Shredder and Torpedo sharing row 2, 129.005 and 129.241. Row 3 will have Samuel Pedia in the Mercedes, 129.384, and XR Shakir in the Haas, 129.432. Row 4, XRL Zola in the Ferrari, 129.915, and Herbago in the McLaren with a 130.091. Row 5, Imperium ST with a 33.172, and Toxic was not able to set a lap time. He will be starting 10th. We'll see DZ, Remisco, and one other driver, I already forgot his name, will make out the end of the 13-car field in today's race. And now it'll be a 5-minute wait until we get underway for the race itself. So we should be going at just about 1 minute after the hour. Well, that makes it pretty straightforward. So, a wet track, once again, just like what we saw last week. So this is going to mean that everyone's going to have to start on the intermediates, and the drivers who burn through all their softs are not really going to face any massive negative circumstances, though. So a prolonged waiting period until we get underway for the race itself, which should be starting in about 10 minutes. Normally I would be 10 minutes, 3 minutes. Normally I'd go over the points, but Dev is no longer a championship tier division, it is merely exhibition for drivers trying out for the other tiers to partake in. So interesting enough, there may be a little bit of a split in choosing what the ideal tire compound is going to be. It looks like at the moment, XRL Torpedo and Rimso both seem to think that full wet tires will be the ideal tire to be on for the start of this race. Now, intermediates will almost always beat wets in the same circumstances as long as they can get some level of traction. So Torpedo and Rim taking a big swing, assuming that there's a lot more rain, and that's going to keep up for a long period of time here. I'm reminded of about 2-3 seasons ago in the X3 category. 3 seasons ago? Yeah, because I believe it was the short season in 2020. In X3, they were running at Netherlands in Zandvoort, and it was pouring rain for the first 6 laps of the race. In fact, it was so bad that it was impossible for anyone outside the top 2 to see the drivers in front of them, even under wet weather, even under yellow flag conditions. Several drivers dropped out, and after about the first 8 laps, the track pretty much dried out, and we had a decent race anyways, but I've definitely seen circumstances in the past where it's been excessively wet at the start, and Rim is now the only driver right now on the full wets, and he may make a last-minute decision to jump onto the intermediates to start this race, which would bring everyone back into the same strategy. And mind you, this is the same circumstances that we saw last week for the race at Austria, although qualifying was inverted. Qualifying last week was wet Q1, wet Q2, dry Q3. Here it's dry Q1 and Q2, wet Q3. No, everyone on the intermediates in the end. So Sasha Andre will bring up the rear of the grid in that Ferrari after a crash on his outlap in Q1. Rim choosing willingly to start in the back and retiring early on in Q2. Robbie Deasy not able to get a single proper lap in Q2. Toxic was the fastest man in Q2 but crashed out in Q3. Imperium has been consistently the slowest on average, but his perseverance has paid off. He is going to be starting 9th. 8th is Herbago, who's had a great setup on that car under dry conditions, but under the wet, it's not looking very good. Zola having a middling start for today's race. Shikari had a lap going, but it was just not the lap he really wanted because he only really got one proper flying chance in Q1. Samuel Peter really got lucky with a cleanish track on his lap. Torpedo, 4th. I think he probably has one of the best laps on merit. And then the top 3, Shredder has starting 3rd, being one of the first 3 drivers to get a lap in Q3. Adam did the same, one of the first 4 drivers to get a lap in. And Waldo, who has spun or crashed every lap he has set thus far today in qualifying, except for his only lap in Q3. And that lap was in 28th and was faster than everyone else. And these drivers at the back are really going to make things interesting and frustrating for Waldo because he's going to get to the line way earlier than everyone else, and his tires are going to see a lot of heat leached out of them because of how much longer he's going to be sitting, and he hits the wall, and he crashes on the run down to his grid spot. Well, that will definitely keep some extra heat in the tires. Not in the way he wanted to, obviously. So we're going to ride on board with Torpedo at the initial start of this race. Starting on the 2nd row with Shredder, as Waldo and Adam will have a drag race off the line in wet conditions. Look at that massive puddle right in front of Torpedo. That's not going to be nice for him to deal with. As the field lines up and prepare to get underway here. 4 lights, 5 lights. That's lights out! Away we go here at Miami. Big slide off the grid for Waldo, but Adam was really slow. Look at Samuel with a massive move to the inside. He's going to make it 3 wide going into turn number 1. And Samuel absolutely flying. They're 3 wide. He makes contact with the Red Bull of Adam K. Shredder goes up in the 2nd, and now Samuel falls back to 6. He has to back out after that amazing start that he had. And now he's overtaken and swarmed by the Ferrari. Sasha's already gone from the back of the grid up to 6th. Zola has slipped to 8th. Robbie, DZ, and Pyram have gone to the back of the grid. Waldo is now trying to hold off Shredder as Adam K is in 3rd, watching the 2 ahead battle. Rim gets by Toxic farther back there, and Waldo's now been overtaken by Shredder, as Shredder immediately picks up where he leaves off. Last week, he's at the front and already trying to gap the rest of the field, gapping XRL Veterans in only his 2nd race on this game. Adam pulls up right behind, find Waldo. Waldo may end up being a hazard here. He has shown more trouble in the first 3 corners than anywhere else, but he has had incidents in this section of the circuit. He keeps the field bunched up behind him, but Shredder is slowly starting to scoot away just a bit as they go underneath the highway overpass. No DRS, big twitch from Waldo as the turbo kicks in. He does have draft off that Williams ahead. So the top 3 all within a second of each other. Herbago trying to defend against Sasha Andre, but Sasha is the absolute fastest man on track thus far. He's gone from 13th to 5th in a single lap and is not showing any signs of stopping. You can see Adam looking to the inside of Waldo there, taking the alternate line going into 1 and 2. Oh, big twitch by Adam. He has to go off circuit to avoid running to the back of Waldo. So Waldo is definitely slow, and Adam is faster, but only on the racing line. The moment that Red Bull gets off the racing line, he slides up, he ends up losing control of the car, and that is causing the entire field behind to get backed up. Sasha now in 5th, and he's there behind Torpedo, who is behind Adam himself. Now Waldo's opening up a gap on Adam. Power down here in the straight. Side by side, high-speed bend. Sasha, no issue there. He's by. Now he sets his sights on Torpedo. It's not even been 2 full laps, and already Sasha dives to the inside and gets cut down on by the Red Bull. I think he got out of it without any damage. Herbago going for a move on Torpedo now, as we're on board Samopedia as these 2 are fighting side by side just ahead of him. And Waldo gets a time penalty for corner cutting. Oh, big twitch by Waldo and Adam there. Oh, this is getting harder and harder for these drivers. As Sasha and Torpedo's crashed. And Torpedo has crashed out, coming out of the Mickey Mouse section. And Torpedo is out of it. And that will put us under yellow flag for the first time today. And Rim, something has gone on here. Rim, Stampede, a bunch of drivers in the midfield come to near complete stops there. And Sasha may have run into the back of Adam K8. We can't get word, but chaos. Chaos reigns here. And we see Fine Waldo coming into the pit lane. And they are going to do something to the car, obviously, I'm assuming. Samopedia also making a stop. They're repairing damage to their cars and putting on new front wings. So Imperium now ends up back up into 10th. Shredder, though, was opening up nearly a 2-second gap over less than 2 laps of racing conditions. And Waldo now has a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. So it goes from bad to worse for Waldo. What in the... Did we just go green? Yes, we did. So I did not think we'd be out of the VSC that early, but we are. So Adam now trying to hold off Sasha Andre. Nothing is holding up that Ferrari outside of this Red Bull in Adam. So we're already back under racing conditions very shortly here. Didn't take long at all. And right now, Shredder's biggest friend is this Red Bull of Adam, because he's the only thing keeping Sasha from going out there and out dragging him, because Sasha is by far the fastest man on track right now. Sasha crossing down, pinching Adam to the inside just a bit, kind of showing his displeasure with the Ferrari. Adam does not care. He's just going to intentionally botch the corner and deny Sasha a chance at the overtake. So a real hardcore grudge match going on for the second place position on track at the moment. Adam doing everything he can to hold Sasha behind, and Sasha is absolutely getting mogged by it. He cannot seem to figure out a way by. DZ now Imperium goes as the fastest man on track. And Waldo serving his drive-through penalty now. And this will drop him to dead last of everyone still running on track at the moment. Sasha may have to deal with Herbago and the McLaren, and we know that the McLaren has a step that really serves him well in a straight line. So if he gets out of this corner well, he could put the Ferrari under pressure. Does not seem to be the case. Although Herbago is closer to Sasha than Sasha is to Adam, although that changes when they get under the braking. So for right now, Sasha, the only question is, how long is it going to take for him to get by that Red Bull? And not to mention, Shredder is slowly losing time to Adam around the circuit here. So the top four all gradually closing in on each other right now. Again, Sasha has a run on the Red Bull. The Red Bull defends the inside, so Sasha is going to go to the outside, and it looks like it should be an easy overtake. Although Adam lunges under braking and again denies it to the Ferrari. Both of them really sliding the car out of that corner. They're side by side going into the final corner. The Red Bull is going to walk a little bit wide, push Sasha wide. They both set the fastest lap of the day there. They're still side by side as they go into turn one. Contact, and they're sideways again. And Sasha just cannot stay ahead of Adam. Big twitch again. And Herbago now has to hold off Rem, who is also recovering his way up through the field. Herbago, who is in fourth, has fallen off of the top three completely and has backed up Rem and Zola to him. So Shredder's strength seems to come in Sector 1. Sasha seems to be strong all over the track. Adam isn't very strong anywhere on the circuit, but he does seem to close on Shredder in Sector 2 and 3 particularly, but then loses it all defending against Sasha in the same part of the track. Oh, massive slide from Sasha there. And the gap now opens up a little bit more in Adam's favor. But I think this might work well for Sasha, because now it's up to Adam to properly apply the brakes and deny Sasha the zone. Ugh. I don't know how in the world Sasha is keeping that Ferrari under him right now. Now Samuel Pia, fastest man on track. But he is on slightly fresher intermediate tires and running in clean air, so that might be helping him in that scenario. Robbie DZ looking at MBD Toxic ahead. Both these drivers set good times in the first qualifying session. Toxic was fastest in Q2 as well, so they're trying to make their way up through the grid at the moment. And it looks like DC has the advantage over the Alpine when it comes to throttle application and will out-drag Toxic into the braking zone. Now the Alpine could go ahead and try a dive, but it would be a very, very risky maneuver to say the least. And indeed, Robbie now holds 7th position. Herbago has a time penalty, 3 seconds for corner cutting. Adam has the advantage over Sasha Again, Sasha has a straight line advantage, but Adam can break deep and deny the corner to both of them. He's been doing that every single lap thus far. Oh, but this time it's the Red Bull that struggles putting the power down. Sasha does not struggle nearly as much. Coming down to the final corner, he's by. And Sasha finally gets by Adam, and there's nothing stopping him from raining down Shredder at the front now. Adam is still there, holding station right behind the front. Big twitch! Big twitch by Sasha, and Adam's back by! So Sasha may be fast, but he's not seeming to be consistent with his speed, and he twitches now into Adam! And second and third continue to just slide all over the track, and Shredder is just slowly scooting away from this duo. And Sasha's incredible forward momentum from the back to the front has stalled in this fight for second, third. He's out-dragging the Red Bull here, going down the straight. The Red Bull brakes hard. And both of them just horrible. They're having such a horrible run through pretty much every single corner here. And now they're trying to go side by side in the Mickey Mouse section. I don't know what you two are trying to do, but you're going to cause each other problems. And Sasha gets a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. 10 seconds of time penalties for corner cutting. He's got the position ahead of Adam for good now, but now has to make up 10 seconds. Although I do think Sasha may have the speed to do so. Thing is, does he have the control of the car to do so? Big slide out of the second to last corner, and again, Adam right behind the Ferrari. And ladies and gentlemen, there's no DRS, no nothing like this. This is all driver control, keeping these cars at the edge of their ability, which is keeping us at the edge of the seat. Another big twitch from Sasha, and Adam's going to come back by again. And again, they're side by side. I can't believe they're doing it. You're not supposed to be able to do this on a Mickey Mouse tilt circuit. But they're doing it. They're side by side every lap on the absolute bleeding edge of control. This is what we love to see. This is perfect. And now Herbago is coming back into the fray himself. Here comes Sasha. Shoots to the outside. He has a big run down the straightaway. Side by side for the position, but under braking, Adam has the advantage in that corner, and Sasha can't push it into a counter advantage in the following corner. So Adam still has the advantage over Sasha. Power down the straightaway now. Again, Adam has the position. Sasha faster in a straight line. The Red Bull squeezes the Ferrari to the inside wall. The Ferrari retaliates, goes to the outside, side by side. Again, Sasha has the nose ahead. Again, Adam brakes late. And it kills the Ferrari's momentum. This time he made contact under braking. And the Ferrari wasn't even side by side with the Red Bull coming out of the corner. Big twitch in the final corner. And Adam still holds second over Sasha. So a newcomer holding off one of the strongest and best veterans in XRL history. And Herbago, who has a dry setup, is there in fourth watching them fight it out. Again, with the track being soaked like this, it should be a single stop, go from intermediate tire to intermediate tire at some point in this race. And then you'll be fine. Sasha closing in again on the straightaways. Looks to the inside, hard under braking. Herbago hard under braking as well. But he makes it to where when the tires gets freed up from their lockup, he's perfectly positioned to turn in. So it actually ended up being a net boon in Herbago's favor. So it's now a three-way fight for second. But through the Mickey Mouse section, it seems like Herbago is slower than Sasha. I know the FIA wouldn't care for me calling it a Mickey Mouse section, but it's absolutely a Mickey Mouse section. For 7th, Robbie DZ holds off MBD Toxic, who just set the fastest lap of the race, the prior lap, and he may consider going for a dive into turn 1 here. I mean, not turn 1, but the second to last corner here. Nope, keeps relatively steady, and Sasha is pitting. So Sasha pitting on lap 10. So he's going to have to try and make this set of tires that he's going to jump onto go 20 laps. And he does not serve any of that second time penalty either. So now Herbago has to run down Adam on his own. And Adam now doesn't have to worry about the fade against the Ferrari, so he can try and start closing down Shredder. So a divide and conquer strategy to try and take away the advantage that Shredder has pulled out in this race. And the Alpine of Toxic finally gets by DZ in this fight for 6th. Zola has hung out mid-pack pretty much all day. He's basically inherited almost every position he's made. He's just kind of been steady in 5th all day today. Well, 6th. Now Sasha's pit has moved Zola up to 5th. And DZ's outrun Toxic into the straight. So the AlphaTauri has a better top end, even in the wet, by a significant amount compared to the Alpine, it would appear. Yellow flag back there, and that is Samuel Pedia, who has had a spin. He will be able to get underway without issue. Herbago can see Adam KH ahead, and he is closing down the straights. But Herbago has not been quite as persistent as Sasha has been thus far today. And Sasha now has to go ahead and make up all these positions all over again. Or hope that the drivers ahead all decide to start pitting sooner rather than later, after realizing how much faster fresh intermediates are. Toxic continues to pressure DZ. He looks to the outside. He's sticking his nose out there. They're going to be side by side, and Toxic is now ahead of DZ and can set his sights on Zola ahead. Oh, big twitch by DZ behind. He goes right off the circuit. So aero weight compromising the AlphaTauri's performance pretty significantly through there. Farther up for 2nd, Herbago now up on Adam, as Adam once again has to hold off and defend against one of XRL's best. Now it's not just one of XRL's best drivers. Herbago, it's a little bit iffy if we can call him one of his best drivers. He's not X1 or X2 tier. He's been to the team for an X3 championship. But Herbago, I have no doubt, has one of the best straight line speed setups on the grid. And there's a yellow flag, and Shikari may have gone off and has warranted a virtual safety car at this stage in the race. So does anyone pit under this virtual safety car to try and match Sasha and now Samuel's strategy? Shredder stays out. Adam's going to come in, though, and so will Herbago. Rim in 4th, who has also made his way from the back to the front, will stop as well under this virtual safety car setting. Zola, he'll pit. But Toxic stays out. Robbie DZ stays out. And Samuel Pedia now has a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. And we've gone green. So Shredder now has a 15-second advantage over Toxic. Still on the same set of tires he started on. Toxic is now up into 2nd position. And Robbie DZ is in 3rd. Adam, now on the freshest tires, he is actually, due to when that safety car came out, he is now has Herbago in between himself and Sasha. Sasha has basically made up a bunch of positions back into 6th. He's going to have to get by the McLaren Herbago and have to get by Adam KH, who are now on slightly fresher tires than him. Oh, and I mentioned that Adam still has no time penalties, while both Herbago and Sasha have earned time penalties at this stage in the race. Well, if I haven't mentioned it before, I've mentioned it now. Although of note, Toxic is apparently quick enough that he is closing down on Shredder's advantage over the rest of the field at the moment. So I don't think it's looking very good for Shredder, because when he does make his pit stop, he's going to end up behind this entire group of Adam, Herbago, Sasha, maybe potentially even Zola. And for Shredder, that means he's actually going to have to start making on-track overtakes in the latter stages of this race. And I don't know how confident I would be in his position in order to do that, especially considering that Adam has been extremely aggressive on defense. It's been basically impossible to overtake that man today and then stay ahead of him. Again, Sasha, really big slide back there. Robbie pitting out third. So officially, Adam is within 20 seconds of Shredder. So right now, I think Adam is in a position that he can walk out of here with the overall race win. The big question for Adam, of course, is going to be, will his tires hold up to the end of the race? Well, compared to Shredder, once Shredder does make his stop. But again, Shredder's not going to have Shredder will have the advantage of better tires, but intermediates don't fall off nearly as badly as softer mediums. Their pace fall off with wear is honestly more comparable to what we see hards doing. So third, fourth, and fifth, all still on top of each other. But at the moment, Herbago is not pressing to get by Adam. We're still waiting for our top two drivers to pit. Toxic continues to close in on Shredder, but the gap is still over 10 seconds at the moment. Sasha right there behind Herbago. Also of note, Rim is there behind Zola as well, and if Zola has a bad run coming out of the Mickey Mouse section, he might try to out-drag him into the corner. Sasha looks to the inside, just chooses not to push it. Big twitch by Sasha again. But he's still closer to Herbago on the timesheets than Herbago is to Adam. The top two continue to stay out. Adam continues to close on both of them. Not quite halfway through the race right now. Oh, got Sasha! Oh, Sasha is going to give me a heart attack. I keep expecting to see that car nosing into the wall and DNFing any moment, but it's just not happened yet. So at this stage, Robbie is behind this fight between Zola and Rim, and when Toxic makes his stop, I imagine he's going to end up right behind this fight as well. For Shredder, he'll probably be ahead of them, but behind Sasha by a significant amount. So Adam looks like he is in the race-winning position right now. Because Herbago and Sasha do not seem to have what it takes to come to bear and slow Adam down. And because of that, Adam is closing. Oh, God, Sasha trying to make an overtake in the Mickey Mouse section. I don't know what you're trying to do there. Herbago defends the inside, so Sasha takes the outside. And there goes Shredder into the pits now. So not quite halfway through the event. And Toxic pits as well, so Adam will inherit the race lead. And now Sasha will have to try and not only get ahead of Adam, but out-drag him by 10 seconds. Oh wow, Shredder ends up right behind this fight. And now he is on fresher tires than the three drivers ahead of him. So it may not be over for Shredder. The question is all going to be, can he get around Herbago and then hope that Adam starts getting time penalties? But the thing is, Shredder has been dealing in clean racetrack this whole day, and Imperium has had an accident in the Mickey Mouse section. Front wing destroyed. But the top four all on top of each other. The question is going to be, What can Sasha do to Adam, and how long does Shredder stay behind Herbago? Oh, wow, Sasha, horrible lock up there at the end of the straight. Sasha needs to be smart trying to get around Adam here. He's got a good run down the straight this time. Wow, very good run. So now we see the exact same scenario we've seen so many times in the first half of this race. Adam has the inside. Sasha goes to the outside. Adam walks wide and will deny the corner to Sasha. Sasha, though, takes advantage of that wider line. But again, big slide off, and he's ahead! Despite the massive twitch, and Sasha takes the lead, and Adam tries to cross over. He's gonna go for the inside into turn 1. Doesn't matter. Sasha now goes to the lead. He finally takes the lead. Now, can he keep the car straight and ahead of Adam? That's gonna be the question. Twitch from Sasha, but that vehicle is trimmed up for straight line speed, so the advantage is now in Sasha. Sasha now has 13 laps to try and outrun a 10-second penalty. So Sasha might still be in for the win of this race. He has finally gotten by Adam. But he needs to turn a 9-10 second advantage into more than a 10-second advantage over that Red Bull. Herbago has now closed in behind Adam, and Shredder is there as well. Herbago has a great run on the Red Bull. The Red Bull moves to the inside to defend. Herbago doesn't quite pull alongside under braking, and then until he does. Toxic has just set the fastest lap of the day there in 5th position. But he is 6.5 seconds out of this fight for 2nd. And Herbago, he's faster than Adam in a straight line, but cannot seem to do anything with them. Already Sasha scooting away. Bobby Deasy now at the time penalty back there in 8th. One potential issue for Sasha is that his tires will be falling off at the end. He needs to go roughly 20 laps on that set of rubber he's running, while the drivers behind him have to go significantly less time. Not to say that their tires will be peachy clean or anything, but will be a small stacking disadvantage against Sasha. But I wouldn't worry too much. Right now, he is 2.2 seconds ahead of Adam. He needs to add about 8 more seconds to that in order to win this race. Adam only has to keep Herbago behind because Shredder does not have the pace in dirty air to even muster a challenge against Herbago, and Herbago does not have a good enough car under him to fight with Adam. So that means that Adam's able to put down relatively clean lap times. For Adam, he just has to hope that something goes wrong with Sasha as this race goes on, because as we look at time penalties right now... Oh, hello. And we're back to virtual safety car as Shikari has had an accident just as the leaders are coming up to him. So back under a virtual safety car for the 3rd time today. And Adam now has a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags! So the top 3 drivers now all have time penalties against them, and Shredder, who is on fresher tires in 4th, does not. So he's back into race winning contention again. But with that said, Sasha now somehow has a 7-second advantage over Adam, and he's not been penalized. The game is letting Sasha scoot away with this lead and going to probably give him the biggest amount of advantage that he needs to win this. Alright, well now the gap closes back in a bit more. Zola now has a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. We're back under green. And now the top 3 all have time penalties against them. Sasha the biggest, 10 seconds. Adam the second biggest with 5. And then Herbago has 3 seconds against himself. So for Sasha, he now just needs to be 5 seconds ahead of the Red Bull. But if he cannot maintain that 5-second positive delta to the Red Bull, he runs the risk of being overtaken by either Herbago or Shredder. Rim right behind Zola, but now Zola has a drive-through penalty, and this will promote Rim back into the 6th position. Also of note, Toxic, he's 5th, and he is closing on 4th place Shredder. There is a possibility that we may have a fight for 4th before this race is over. And depending on how things go, anyone in the top 5 could win this race. But with Adam's massive time penalty, I think the advantage overall goes in Sasha's favor now. He just needs to open up a 5-second gap over Adam and then hold that to the race end. Oh! And Herbago's wrecked! And Herbago's out of it! And Herbago crashes out in Sector 3! And not only is that VSC, that's a full course safety car! Toxic takes advantage and immediately jumps in the pits to get on the freshest rubber! And a full course safety car bunches the field back up as Herbago is out of it! Shikari has a drive-through penalty for speeding in the safety car. Zola is going to come in and pit, but he still has to serve a drive-through penalty as well. DZ pitted, Imperium pits. But Sasha now has the entire field backed up to him. He's on older tires, and he still has a 10-second time penalty he has to outrun. Adam, who is going to be second now, is also on older tires. He has a 5-second time penalty he has to outrun. Shredder is going to be on third without time penalties, but now he's going to have Toxic on the freshest tires in the field right by him. And now Toxic has a time penalty for track violations. So Rim, who is in 5th, might walk out here in a good position, but Rim is also on old tires. I can't tell who's going to win this race. Samuel goes ahead and puts on new rubber. This race has been something else, to say the least. So Sasha now making a stop, and he'll put on fresh rubber. So now things change again, because Sasha's actually going to end up ahead of Toxic. Because Toxic had not quite caught Shredder. So Adam leads, but he has 5 seconds of time penalties and worn tires. Shredder also has worn tires, but no time penalties. Sasha in third still has 10 seconds of time penalties against him. Toxic, who is in fourth, has a time penalty but fresh rubber. Rim is still on track. Zola has fallen in behind Rim now. So Rim, I think, in fifth is in the best position of everyone in the top 5. Rim could honestly come out of this with the victory. I don't know if Adam has the car under him to outrun the cars that will be challenging him. We know Adam's been amazing on defense today. But it looks like time penalties are going to be what decides this race. And Rim, I think, has the advantage because while Shredder also doesn't have time penalties, Shredder is also on worn tires. Again, the worn intermediates aren't going to be horrible, but they will be slightly, noticeably, but slightly slower. And man, this is taking a long time to gather the field up. Waldo and Samuel Petey are not even close to catching the field, let alone Rim, who is stuck behind Imperium, who is a lap down at the moment. So we may not be going green until lap 23 or 24. Mind you, Zola still has a drive-thru he has to serve, as does Shikari. So that will take them right out of any fight for this race win. And Zola coming down pit lane now. Another set of intermediates going on the car. This drops him to 7th, but again, it's not really going to matter. He still has a drive-thru to serve. Zola's just trying to make sure he's on as fresh tires as possible when the race finally does restart. DZ and Rim have finally caught the rear of the grid. It'll take Zola a bit to catch, and then after them, it will be up to Waldo and Samuel P. to catch the back of the field. Shikari and Imperium will be fine for a points-paying position in 10th. Oh, this is an exhibition, so points don't really matter, but it's a reasonable thing to fight for still for some of these drivers. Yeah, Waldo's still 8.5 seconds out from Zola alone, about 20 seconds out from the back of the grid. Oh, what in the devil? Imperium! And is there damage to... What happened to Imperium? And is there damage? One of the Ferraris that looked like speared right into the back. Oh, and that's the AlphaTauri! That's Robbie who's just crashed now under a safety car. Is there damage to Zola's machine? I think I saw a Ferrari go off with Imperium, but now he's out of it, so he's not going to be able to continue. I don't see any damage to either of the Ferraris at the moment. There we are, safety car coming in this lap. Wait, this lap? Now? Yes, they're going green now! The field just they waited till the last possible moment, so Adam controls the field. How does Shredder and Sasha respond? And they're off, they're underway, and already Toxic making a move to the inside of the Ferrari. And the Ferrari goes to the outside of Shredder. Shredder has nowhere to go, they're 3 wide for second, this is perfect for Adam. Oh, the Ferrari can't keep it behind Toxic, he's gonna get squeezed wide. There's this fighting going on as well. Zola and Shikari serve their drive-thru penalties at the same time as well. So Shredder, second, behind, and Adam stepped wide! Adam stepped wide! Here comes Shredder! And Shredder going to go back-to-back race wins in the wet! That's the question! to be careful. The Red Bull goes to the outside, under braking. Haas of Shikari crashes, and the Alpine and the Ferrari go off again. Adam back ahead of Shredder, through the Mickey Mouse section again. Rim, another time penalty for corner cutting. Adam has the lead. Shredder and Toxic fighting for second. Sasha is there. Oh, Sasha smacks the wall. Shredder falls to third. Toxic, who has been the fastest man even in the wet, finally in a position to fight for the win of this race. He sets his sights on Adam ahead. For the lead. Toxic has the run, but Adam has been the most annoying person for anyone to get by. He's been putting on an amazing defense today as they fight for a lead. Adam has it. Toxic looking to the outside. Behind, Sasha makes a dive, an easy overtake on Shredder by the looks of it. They actually both ran each other off circuit, and Shredder now has a time penalty, so I believe Toxic now has the overall advantage. Sasha and Shredder both get time penalties for corner cutting in the Mickey Mouse section. And Sasha gets another one, and Sasha stuffs Shredder into the wall. Here comes Rim. And they're side by side for a lead. Toxic on Adam. Drag race down the back straightaway. Adam has it. Toxic pulls out. Now Toxic shoots to the inside under braking. Adam cuts him off at the corner. And then backs Toxic up to Sasha. Sasha's back into it. But now the question isn't time penalties. The question isn't time. The question is time penalties. Here comes Sasha to the outside of Toxic now. And Sasha's off. Sasha completely off circuit. Hemorrhages all the way back to fifth. Toxic in second, still within a position where he could win. He doesn't have to overtake Adam. He has a time penalty advantage of only 2 seconds. Onto this curved full throttle section once again, and DRS not available, but it gives you the idea of just how fast they are. Toxic again, straight line speed advantage. He's closing in on Adam. Another accident for Shikari in the final corner, and he has another drive-through penalty he'll have to serve. Toxic in second and Samuel in fourth. Both are on 3 seconds of time penalties. No one else is in the similar zone. Everyone has 5 or more. Sasha with 16 at the moment. Samuel overtakes Rim for third. If the top 2 fight often enough, he could put himself into an outside chance for this win. Toxic is smart though. Toxic's not going to fall for the same stuff that Sasha and Herbaga was falling for earlier. Toxic wants to try and outdrive Adam through some of these corners and get by him that way. Yellow flags. And that's the Haas, I believe, of Shikari, who's had another accident. This time coming out of pit lane. Samuel Pita now has a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag, so he's out of raceway in contention again. Top 2 continue to stay nose to tail. Time penalties are going to be what decides it by the looks of it. Toxic knows he doesn't have to overtake Adam, But if he is going to, I think he's going to try and do it out of a corner. Still under virtual safety car at the moment. Fine Waldo, drive-through penalty for speeding into the virtual safety car. So that will take him out of his little fight with Zola for 8th. And we're underway, and Toxic has a massive run on Adam this time, but he stays behind the Red Bull's rear wing. Adam runs wide, and Toxic is still right behind him. They stay nose to tail. Toxic is playing an interesting game, but he has a significant advantage at this point. Oh, and he turns him, and Toxic dumps Adam out of the lead, and he's through it as well, and Samuel goes to the top as the leaders wreck out. Toxic and Adam wreck each other out on the restart, and with 3 laps to go, Samuel Pena now leads, and it's Rim who is behind him, who has a potential chance of walking out of here with this victory. And Samuel, who has been off pace in the midfield for most of the day, now has to try and open up a 2-second gap on Rim before this race is over. Otherwise, Rim will complete a back-to-front challenge, but it won't be without controversy. Shikari, another accident. Waldo has yet to serve his drive-through penalty at this stage of the race. Nope, and now Shikari is out, and Shikari out of the race officially. And Rim is losing sight of Samuel. The gap's open to 1.2, almost 1.3 seconds now. And Samuel continues to walk away. Only 7 drivers left on track at this stage in the race. Rim is now beyond the 2-second gap. So Samuel has this race lead as looking like he'll walk out. Samuel's actually just at the fastest lap as well, 138.9. A very messy race. But in the end, it looks like it's going to be Samuel Pedia who's going to, as I say that, Rim's closing back in. He's closed it back down to a 1.5 seconds. So Rim is finding time this lap, at least in Sector 1. Sasha Andre, another time penalty in 3rd. Yellow flag, and Sasha's crashed out! And Sasha has crashed out in the final stages of the race. And the entire day, all day today, Sasha has been on the bleeding edge of control, or lack thereof, on the car. And finally, at the end, it caught him. Rim, now again, more than 2 seconds out from Samuel. DZ's crashed now! DZ has crashed out in the Mickey Mouse section! And we're going to finish with only 5 drivers in this race. Only 5 drivers are going to finish here. Oh, that's right on the racing line as well. Rim, 2.5 seconds out from Samuel. So Samuel might just pull off the victory here. Shredder, who's led more laps than anyone else today, is going to have to be content with a 3rd place finish after getting stuffed into a wall while trying to make his way back up through the grid. And Samuel, who has been irrelevant, not doing anything but fighting midfield most of the day, is going to capitalize on everyone else's misfortunes and is going to win if he can just maintain a gap of more than 2 seconds. And Waldo is overall disqualified for ignoring his drive-through. It's not really going to change things because he was already not going to finish a better than 5th. And there aren't really any points given. Only 4 drivers are going to finish at the end. The fewest number of drivers I've ever seen running at the end of an XRL race has been 5. Now, 4. The fewest number of drivers I've ever seen at the end of an XRL race. The gap between first and second has now opened to 3.5 seconds. So as long as Samuel doesn't do anything wrong in these final corners, he's going to walk out of here with this win. Nice, smooth run to the line. Samuel Pedia will bring the Mercedes machine home to a victory here in Miami. Remsco will come across the line in second. Shredder will settle for third. And Zola will come home fourth, the only driver without a time penalty. Trying to see if any of our podium finishers will even be willing to come in and talk with us. But Samuel Pedia, a fantastic victory here at Miami. Never really an outright contender in the first stages of the race, but after the yellow flag bunched the field up, he took advantage of leaders crashing each other out and stuff and took home a fascinating, albeit very unexpected victory here. Also, does it with taking the fastest lap of the race as well. So credit to him for that. Alright. Gonna wait just a bit, because we might be able to get Samuel into the party here to hear what he has to say. All right, and coming to the party right now is Samuel Pedia. Samuel, go ahead, include your audio. Fantastic win. What do you have to say? Fantastic drive today, mate. Excellent job. Also, coming into the party right now is SRD Shredder, who led a bunch of laps early on, but ended up having to settle for third. Shredder, you won last week, and you picked up right from that point last week, leading the first half of this race, but you couldn't make your way back up to the grid. What do you have to say about your day today?
Yeah, so qualified a bit. I don't care for this track at all. It's horrific and doesn't flow my style at all. And somehow got a third out of it at the end. I think it was just because I sent it on the final bit of qualifying because I was looked into that. Then when going into the race, sort of I could get if I could get like him going into the corners, then I might have a chance. But I didn't realise how much an advantage I had over the start. I'm guessing because I was the only one that actually put downforce on their car. Well, at least a little bit. So shot past there, built a lead. Then everyone came into the pit stops and I was suddenly about 2 seconds off the pace, and I genuinely don't know where that time was. I was good about up second and a half down the straights, and I don't really know how that happens. And it was also keeping up me in the corners as well. So, not really sure. Then I had a bunch of virtual safety cars. Race engineer was just shouting at me to pit for whatever reason, don't really know why, because came in, did the exact same lap times. He did say it was going to be lighter rain. But yeah, don't think that ever happened. A few restarts later, got the drop on the leaders again, sort of absently inside for the straightaway. Then about a lap later, got just shunted off track twice by Sasha, I think it was, and got an 8-second penalty for it. I don't really know why, because I'm the one that got affected by it, and he pretty much stayed on, just donked me off both times. Gave essentially no racing room. I couldn't really go anywhere. And then I survived to the end with everything else crashing out.
Well, a win last week, a podium this week. What do you think? Potential X2 pace with those results? Or is this more off of strategy and luck than anything else?
I mean, the setup I was using there I was practicing in dry, and that was my dry weather setup. So going off of that, yeah, luck probably is the best thing.
By the way, if you were able to go ahead and survive one of only 4 drivers to make it to the end of the race, do you think there's anything you could have done differently that may have gotten you a second place finish or even a victory?
No, I don't like it round here. I hate it round it. It's constant corners, which I'm not a fan of long drawn out corners. And that one going onto the straight, Jesus Christ, I think it was about a second slower off the pace than anyone there. Couldn't find the line there. Then that sort of whatever chicane thing going on to the final stretch that's rubbish as well. So yeah, I've spent about an hour setting a carb up for that, just about got into there. And yeah, just avoiding everything more or less is why I survived and got to the end.
Alright. Well, you survived out of the way. Great job on the finish, mate. Shame it couldn't have been better. And again, to Samuel, we want to say fascinating job on your victory as well. We've not been able to get Rim into the party, so I'm guessing he chooses not to partake in any interviews. Anyways, tomorrow is still another off day for XRL, but next week on Sunday will be the X2 and X3 series coming back at 5 p.m. UK time and 8 p.m. UK time. If you want to join XRL, go ahead and meet up with XRL Zola or XRL Shikari, and they will be able to get you through the paces so you can be here next week for Dev as we get underway. Until next time, I have been your host, Insane Leader 13. Thank you very much for joining us today, and goodbye.